What's going on, everybody? There's got to be something in the water in Chicago, something in the water in Chicago that makes people think, I don't know, without common sense, without, I don't know, taking a step back and removing the fandom from their soul. I don't know, from coming up with uh, some of the most outrageous the most outrageous thing I've heard to date on this particular topic. But I've made it very, very clear my thoughts on what the Chicago Sky did in the WNBA draft. I thought they struck out. I thought they're an F. They had arguably the worst draft of all the teams, and that's inclusive of my thoughts on the Washington Mystics, who I think completely botched the first round, as well as the Golden State Valkyries, who made a first round pick that just made no sense, but happened to have Cheyenne Sellers fall in their lap. But we'll talk about this right now because there was a video that popped into my feed. I didn't search it. I had no idea that this existed. It popped into my feed, maybe because I've been talking about this stuff, but it's in my feed. I'm like, what in the hell? And the topic, the headline of this, the title of this, Hailey Van Lith is the steal of the 2025 WNBA draft for the Chicago Sky. The steal. What are you talking about? Holy Lord. This is from 670 The Score. Score middays. I guess this is a radio station in Chicago. I can only presume that. This is an interview with Karli Bell, who is host of the Courtside with Karli Bell. She covers the Chicago Sky. And these are her words, not mine. I'm floored. I am floored that people in Chicago are taking this viewpoint. It sounds like straight up shilling for a franchise and fear of losing credentials because if you criticize them, they will have a problem with you. It's utterly freaking insane. But I'm going to play this video for you. Oh, by the way, welcome back everyone to another edition of Rudy's Rant, Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball. Talk facts over feelings here. Those of you who were on live last night, thank you so much for jumping on board. We tell it like it is from our vantage point. I mean, and I back it up with data and stats and facts. And yeah, of course, there's some feelings because, facts over feelings, not feelings over facts. I'm giving you the facts of the situation. And what Chicago needed was shooters. I don't know why this is so hard. Even ESPN, the king of stupidity, said they need shooters. And what do they draft? A 19-year-old European who shoots 34% from three and shoots the ball from her stomach. What do they draft? Hailey Van Lith, who I love, who is not a true point guard. She is a scoring point guard. Her game is mid-range. Her game is not shooting 23-footers. Her game is not spacing the floor. That is what they needed. And then they drafted Maddie Westfeld in the second round, who is not going to make the team, or if she does, she'll be a bench warmer. And then finally, they draft girl out of Texas A&M, Kulilaba, who has a torn ACL. And even when she didn't have a torn ACL, she can't shoot. She shoots 21 to 22% from three. She can't shoot. You didn't get floor spacers. Why is this so hard? But I'm going to play this video for you so you can hear what Karli Bell had to say, and I'm going to let it flow, let it fly. This is her opinion? I don't know. Let's talk about it.
Karli, looking at this draft last night, I know there's a lot of people who were hoping Hailey Van Lith would fall to where the Sky were picking, and then they had two picks that she would be the pick. Tell me what you think about this matchup and how she will fit in with the current Sky roster.
In all honesty, when I was looking at mock drafts back in December, January, Hailey Van Lith wasn't even projected a first round pick. But what she was able to do in that NCAA women's tournament just catapulted and bolstered her draft capital tenfold. What I'm really excited about is she already has that chemistry with Angel Reese, which is going to save a brand new head coach in Tyler Marsh months and months of work. You don't have to teach Hailey Van Lith, this is how Angel wants the ball. This is how Camilla wants the ball. This is how everybody else wants the ball. They already have that there. That chemistry is already built. And on top of that, having Angel there is going to provide Hailey Van Lith with a familiar face, joining into a brand new league as a pro. She has someone that she can lean on in off the court synergy. But on the court, we've seen Angel be a phenomenal teammate, both in the WNBA and in Unrivaled. And I think she's going to be, I don't want to say catalyst is the right word, but I feel supporter is a better word for Hailey Van Lith on the court. She can really teach Hailey where Michaela likes the ball, where Camilla likes the ball, and how this development is going to work. Obviously, we don't know what this offensive scheme is going to look like under Tyler Marsh. Training camp's not for another week, but I really think this was a steal of the draft. I saw her going at number 6, number 7, and the fact that she was available at number 11 in a last minute trade that Jeff Pagliacca was able to facilitate the day before the draft to get that number 11 pick was astonishing. And both Pagliacca and Marsh said after the draft yesterday that they were just as surprised as everybody else that Hailey Van Lith was available at 11. So one, you're bringing in star power. So I don't expect to see a single empty seat at Wintrust. You have Camila Cardoso's brand, you have the Angel Reese brand, and now you're bringing in Hailey Van Lith. Those ticket sales are going to skyrocket. And then I'm just really intrigued to see what this offensive scheme is going to look like. Obviously, it's going to be a focus on 3-point shooting because the Sky really lacked that last year. Hailey Van Lith does bring that, but her on-ball defense and what she's able to do defensively is something I don't think she gets enough credit for. And that is going to translate really, really, really well to the WNBA.
I can't take this seriously. I can't even take this seriously. I can't. Let's unpack this real fast because I don't even playing the whole thing. Don't even know. On-ball defense. I've watched Hailey Van Lith get absolutely cooked. I've never heard her be talked about. I've never heard her on-ball defense be praised. And in the many years I've watched her since she was at Louisville, I've never heard about her on-ball defense being praised. Again, I'm a big Hailey Van Lith fan. In a vacuum, is Hailey Van Lith a good pick at 11? Yeah, absolutely. In reality, though, I didn't see one mock draft that had Hailey Van Lith going number 6. So I don't know what her mock draft was. I didn't see one mock draft have her go number 6 or 7 across the board. If there's one, please show me. Every mock draft I saw showed her going 9 or later. I had mock drafts that I saw had her going 17. There were mock drafts that had her in the 2nd round. I don't think she's a 2nd round player in this draft. And yes, she's absolutely right. If we're talking she's absolutely right. If we're talking about what was going on last year, then no, she wouldn't have been drafted like in any round. And then she's forgetting the main point that was playing with Angel Reese. Familiarity, whatever. Who gives a shit? She had the worst basketball year of her life playing at LSU because LSU wasn't using her for what she's supposed to be used for, which is a scoring guard. She's not a point guard. She's a scoring point guard, not a pass-first point guard. So what are you going to do? Are you going to limit her shooting? Are you going to limit her? Because this is a team built on size, post presence. Cardoso, Reese, Cardoso. That is what this team is built on. This team is not being built around Hailey Van Lith. Hailey Van Lith, if it's being built around her, different situation, different conversation. but it's not. It's being built around bigs. Are we going to have a Hailey Van Lith taking 10 shots a game? Because if that's what it is, she's going to suck. She's going to suck. If she's taking 16, 17, which we know is not going to happen, then maybe she can flourish. But we know that's not going to be how it rolls. And the familiarity on where someone needs the ball, someone where they pass the ball, she just played with Angel Reese a year ago. It was a fucking disaster. It was an unmitigated disaster for Hailey Van Lith. So how in the world are we going to sit here and she's going to sit here and say and call this the steal or a steal of the draft when there's not one mock draft that had her rated at number 6 or 7? Not one. Not a single one that I saw. Not one. She also mentions Hailey Van Lith's shooting. Hailey Van Lith is not a great three-point shooter. She's an adequate one. She shoots 33% from 3. She's not a great three-point shooter. She's adequate. She's not even a good three-point shooter. Now, her mid-range game is great. Her three-point shot, not great. Adequate. Serviceable. They don't need serviceable in Chicago. Is Hailey Van Lith going to start? Or is she going to be the backup to Courtney Vandersloot? That's a question that needs to be answered. But this stuff about you had her going 6 or 7 when I didn't see one mock draft having her go 6 or 7. In fact, let's just go through a few mock drafts. The WNBA mock draft had Cheyenne Sellers going 6, and she fell to 17 or 18 or whatever it was, 17. They had Aja Sivka going 7. They had Hailey Van Lith going to Chicago at 11. So it seems pretty accurate on that one that they had Hailey Van Lith going 11. So you had her going 6 or 7 to Washington or Connecticut? That's ESPN. Let's look at On 3. What did On 3 have going? On 3 had number 6, Cheyenne Sellers, number 7, Aja Sivka. Hell, in the On 3 mock draft, Hailey Van Lith wasn't even in the first round. You call that a steal? Here we go. How about Bleacher Report? Bleacher Report. Let's see. And I'm going through this blindly because I have no idea what they all got. I'm just going blindly on this shit. Number 6. Well, is this old? Because this has to be an older one. Yeah, this is way old. This one's older, but hell, I'll use this one too. Number 6, Cheyenne Sellers and Georgia Amore. Hell, where'd they have her anywhere here? Nah, this one's not accurate because they have other players that actually didn't turn pro on here, so I can't use that. But the point being is like I didn't see one singular mock draft that had her going 6. I didn't see one mock draft having her go here. I'm looking at Yahoo. Cheyenne Sellers and Aja Sivka. This was as of April 7th. Here, they had Hailey Van Lith going 9 to LA, which is where I had Hailey Van Lith going, where I thought they should have drafted. But there are people that disagree with me. I'm fine. I don't care about that. Point being, this is not a steal. That's really my biggest argument to all this shit is it's not a steal. Not even close to being a steal. Hell, if you look at this one here for SB Nation, this had her going on 2 separate ones. One had her going outside the first round. One had her going 11. No, I'm sorry. No. Did either one have her going anywhere here? They had her going 9. There's another mock draft. Athletic. Yeah, Athletic had her going outside the first round. Yahoo Maggie Hendricks had her going 10 to Chicago. So where she went actually was at the top of where most people thought she would go. So if she had her at 6 or 7, maybe she overrated her, overhyped her. Maybe she's a big fan of hers. I am a big fan of hers. I think she's actually really good. I just think this is the wrong situation. But let's continue the video because I want to see what else she says on this because I saw the first part and I just was like, my God, how can you call this the steal of the draft? The familiarity component is bogus because she played with her at LSU and yet had the worst year of her life playing with Angel Reese. That's just silliness to me. Silliness, absolute silliness.
We're talking to Karli Bell. She is the host of Courtside with Karli Bell. New episodes every Monday wherever you get your podcasts. And Karli, that was one of the points.
Oh, I forgot to mention the fact that she gave kudos to Jeff Pagliocca, who is incompetent. That to me just reeks of I'm here to shill for franchise. Because yeah, no. That just reeks of shilling for franchise to me. That's not, that guy he didn't come up with some coup to get the number 11 pick and then drafted a player that doesn't fit a need. You had so many players that fit needs of shooting.
That I think really attracts a lot of casual fans, women's basketball fans. Maybe they watch.
Oh, also, I'm sorry. I got to hit another topic because it's just popping in my brain. The gym will be filled. It wasn't filled last year. The arena wasn't filled last year. They didn't sell the arena out last year. They averaged like 7,800 fans, 8,000 fans in a 10,000 seat arena. So what are you talking about on that one as well? They weren't selling out last year with Angel and Camilla. So now Hailey Van Lith is going to bring the remaining 2,000 fans. Come on.
Women's NCAA basketball, and these are familiar names to them. And I'm not saying that the Sky is necessarily drafting based on clout. I don't think that's it at all. These are some of the stars of the game that we've talked about in the college game over the last several years, and people like Angel Reese, Hailey Van Lith, Camila Cardoso. So to be able to put that team together, I think this is going to attract a lot of interest for the Sky that was already there because people are familiar with who she is in Hailey Van Lith.
I think it's one of the, not just a basketball move, we can talk everything about what she brings on the court, but from a marketing standpoint, just gift after gift after gift to the Chicago Sky. Getting Angel Reese last year, I was on press row in 2022 and 2023. Obviously in 2022, you have Candace Parker. Those seats were there. Seats were filled for the Chicago legend and the greatest in my opinion, the greatest women's basketball player of all time in CP3. But in 23, Wintrust was a lot emptier than what we saw in 22. Then you bring in a name like Angel Reese. Wintrust was packed every single game, even when the Sky were on a losing streak, when they couldn't string things together. People wanted to see Angel. She brings people out, not just with how she plays the game, but that swag and that personality that she has on the court is something that we've really missed in basketball. Myself personally, I love to see the too little. I love to see the flex on and put the goggles on, like get fun with it. And Hailey Van Lith brings that same energy. And pair her with Courtney Vandersloot, who's coming back in what I think will be her last year in the WNBA. She's getting up there in age. Those knees can only go for so long. And she's a record holder for the Sky, hometown name, favorite of a lot of Sky fans. Hailey Van Lith is going to learn from one of the best floor generals in the WNBA. So she's really going to have a phenomenal developmental rookie season. Is she going to start? Probably not, because you have a Courtney Vandersloot. But what she will be able to bring off the bench and how I'm really intrigued to see how the minutes are going to be distributed to her because you have Courtney Vandersloot. But it's just going to be a huge developmental year. And if you're not excited about this pick, regardless of if you know basketball or you don't, you're foolish, because this was a phenomenal pick, not only for the Sky, but for the city of Chicago. I really believe her style of play, her swag, her attitude, everything, how she carries herself is really going to translate to Chicagoans. Chicago's the mecca of basketball, especially in the women's space. Some of the top tier players have come out of Chicago. Jewel Lloyd, Devereaux Peters, Trish Listing, Candace Parker. These have all played at a very, very, very high level. So you're going to see people in Chicago that know hoops come in and be like, oh, this is the swag that we would see on asphalt ball. This is the swag we'd see in an alleyway. This is the swag that you would see at the Nike tournament that always comes into Chicago at the end of July. That's the type of attitude that she's going to bring to this team. And if you're not excited, you're a fool. If you are excited, then join the club, because I'm just hyped about this pick.
If you're
All right, I heard enough. I'll be a fool. I'll be a fool. And you're talking about from a fan perspective. I don't need to play anymore. I'll link the video in the description so you can see it in full. There's about a minute left of it. I don't really need to see any more of it. I can tell you this. So you drafted her for marketing. You have the second most marketable player in the WNBA. You think Hailey Van Lith will be in the top 5? You think Hailey Van Lith is being a top 5 marketing in the WNBA? You think she'll have a top 5 jersey sold? Really? Like, come on. Come on. Come on now. Like I said, I'm a big Hailey Van Lith fan. I mean, a lot of these people who are loving Hailey Van Lith now did not like her last year. They blamed her for why LSU lost. The same people that are Angel Reese fans blamed Hailey Van Lith for why they lost. They didn't blame Kim Mulkey. They didn't blame Angel Reese. They didn't blame Flau'jae Johnson. They didn't blame anybody. They didn't blame Anissa Morrow. They didn't blame it. They blamed Hailey Van Lith. And now they love her again because she left and went and played great somewhere else, because the offense was focused around her the way it was at Louisville. You want to bring her off the bench? You want to bring her off the bench behind Courtney Vandersloot, who she's a better player than right now? Problem. She's not a point guard, and that's what you guys have all missed. And she keeps repeating this to herself. You're excited. You're excited. You're a fool. I'll be a fool then. I know basketball. And I know what PTSD does to players. I know how players remember situations, and they remember how they didn't work out with somebody else. And maybe it had nothing to do with Reese. Maybe it didn't. And I don't care if it did or didn't. But she was the main player, the face of that team. And now we're doing it all over again, where she's the face of this team. And you want her to come in there and pretend that 2 years ago at LSU never happened. It's like, what are we talking about here? She is in a position where she was 2 years ago, where a coach decided, look, you're going to play point guard, like all point guard. And then while she's doing that, she can't shoot the ball anymore. Her shooting percentage plummeted. She couldn't make a shot. And she was largely ineffective. And the defense that you're talking about, where I saw her get cooked so many freaking times, defensively is not how I've ever seen Hailey Van Lith talked about. But now we're talking about marketing. She's being marketed. What the fuck are you talking about? Not if she's coming off the bench, she's not. No one buys jerseys of players that are coming off of the bench unless your name is Kate Martin. Like, what are we talking about here? This is silliness. And I just verified the average attendance last year for Chicago was 87.57 at home. At home. Right? Their capacity is 10,387. Last I checked, that's 1,600 empty seats. That's the last time I checked. I mean, if my math serves me correctly, that's what it was. So you had 1,600 empty seats. And actually, the year before that, she says the building was so empty in 2023, they averaged 7,241. That's only another 1,500. And you know, in 2022, when she said it was packed, just so you know, I'm just reminding, she said in 22 it was packed. It was 7,180. 21, it was packed again, 3,187. Were they even playing at Wintrust at that point? Because if they were, nobody was going. We can go back to 19, 6740. Where was this packed arena that you're talking about? Yes, last year was their best attendance year. But when Candace Parker played, unless they were playing somewhere else, and if someone can correct me, if they were playing at Wintrust, they were playing in a building that was 1,500 people less when Candace Parker was there than this past season. All that said, it wasn't so empty in 23. It wasn't so empty. And Hailey Van Lith, maybe she'll sell a few more tickets. Maybe she will. But that's why you recruit. That's why you drafted her to sell tickets. I thought you drafted someone to win. I thought at this point you're drafting people to win. But hey, I disagree. What do you think? The steal of the draft. The steal of the draft. I'd love to hear your comments. Like I said, I'm a Hailey Van Lith fan. So this is not shade on her. This was the wrong situation for her. The wrong situation. Heck, if she'd been available at 12, I think Dallas would have considered her because of the TCU connection and the fact that she was playing in Fort Worth. But you let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, follow. This is Rudy's Rant. Her game, her way, women's basketball. Come on now.